Hey, quick video for you today. My name is Bill Benoist. I'm a certified professional career coach here in Silicon Valley, if this is the first time to my channel. And in today's video, I want to talk about resume length. I recently had a client who had been working in the industry for about 15 years, and he sent me his resume to review, and it was a one-page resume. And everything was just crammed into it, into a point actually that he was really robbing himself from being able to sell himself, because he didn't have a lot of accomplishment statements for the work that he had done. And when I spoke to him about this, he was under the impression that he had to have a one-page resume. So he'd been really trimming it down. So I want to share with you some statistics. Resume2Go did a study in the last year or so where they looked at 7,712 resumes, and what they found was that over 5,375 resumes were actually 2 pages long. In the same study, they also discovered that the average recruiter prefers a 2-page resume. So keep this in mind. Best practices are shifting a little bit. In fact, let's just talk a little bit more about these best practices, in the sense that although 2 pages is completely fine, 3 pages could actually hurt you. So don't go longer than 2 pages. And also, if you cannot get everything onto 1 page where it's still selling yourself well, and you find yourself going to the second page but only 1 or 2, maybe 3 lines on that second page, then get everything back over to 1-page resume, because a resume that is 1 page plus a couple of lines on the second page really does kind of look tacky. You want to go at least a third, if not a halfway down. You can go all the way down to the bottom. It doesn't really matter. But a 2-page resume is completely fine. So a couple of things about resumes. Keep in mind best practices. Number 1 is the font size no larger than 14, and I'll usually keep that for just the name, and then no smaller than 10. I like to use usually the name is 14, and then maybe the titles say professional summary, work experience, education as a size 12, and then content as a size 11. But you can go all the way down to size 10, perfectly fine there. With that, 1-inch margins around all sides with that, and keep your fonts fairly basic. And you can actually, seem to lower this, the length of your resume by just changing the font. So you can play with that too. Glassdoor did a study in 2017 where the average position that was open out there was attracting about 250 resumes. Okay, keep that in mind. The Job Where the Ladders did a study where they found, after videotaping recruiter eye movements, that the average recruiter is only spending 6 seconds on a resume. They're not reading it, they're scanning it. And here's another thing too, a little trick, is that when they get to the second page, most recruiters, when they turn to the second page of the resume, they're not reading from the top down, but they're reading from the bottom up. So you might want to put your most important thing down there at the very bottom. I'll have clients where they end their resume with their education, and they'll have, say, a bachelor's and then the master's and then a bachelor's, and I'll switch it so they see that the master's degree is on the very bottom of that, because that's probably what's going to be seen first when they go to the second page. But most recruiters are really spending time on the top 1/3 of the first page of the resume. They're scanning it, they're not reading it, so keep in mind white space is your friend, because they're reading in a Z format, or they're scanning in a Z format, and you want to make sure they break up so it makes it easier to scan.